75%. We defeated Miami, we defeated Auburn, we defeated Georgia, and we only lost to Alabama. So 3 out of 4 is not bad. We also got key wins over Mississippi State this year. We also got wins over rivals like Ole Miss, and even when we do finish the year strong, we got wins over our main rival, Texas A&M. So we got a lot of credentials that really, for recruitment reasons, that we are on the up and come. There's one team that just stands in this school's way, and that's Alabama. Now, when you look at the schedule next year, it's not as hard as what it was. It's still a little difficult because you got to go to Texas next year, and you got to go to Alabama, and you got to go to Ole Miss, and you got to go to Mississippi State. So yes, it is a little more challenging, but I think that this program is in the right direction. You know, some people will say Ed Orgeron not the answer as the head coach. I have heard that from multiple friends. But the thing why I think that the school's not ready to give up on Ed is because Ed, until he really have his full team, is all his recruitment classes, I think that's when they're going to be ready to give up on Ed if they don't work out from there. I think Ed got to go in the right direction, but until you keep neglecting key positions on the offensive side, I think they need to fix their offensive line, make their offensive line more 2000 college football 2018 type offensive line. You got to put guys, you got to have guys that's very more solid at their position. You have to. I mean, you got RPOs. You need that in this game. You need guys that's able to do things outside the pocket. I think one thing that the announcers did say that I was looking for to see if they was going to use Joe Burrow more outside the pocket to make Alabama defenders more responsible than what they were. But they never did. But it gets me. It really does get me on that one. But I like their chances for the rest of the year. You know, 10-2 is not bad. Remember, they won the championship 10-2, but we got a long way to go before we start thinking about a championship. But I think this year will be a success because they exceeded expectations. They was in the top 4 for about a couple of weeks, and they was in the conversation for a championship. And I think that's what you want to see now, and that's what you want to build upon for the future and years to come. So that's what I feel about LSU and everything like that. So let's move on. Let's just move on from that. My special segment, we all know what the time it is. It's officially Studs and Duds, one of my favorite segments that I just started doing over the last couple of years. Studs and Duds. So let's go backwards this week. Let's start from the maybes of this week. Let's talk about maybes, the guys who did well this week, who tried to come up in the Studs and Duds conversation. My honorable mention, I will stage Falcons. Falcons did get a big win over the NFC East. The NFC East, the guys who were owning the NFC East are the Washington Redskins, who probably somehow probably going to win the division. They went down and beat the snot out them boys yesterday. To me, once you take away Adrian Peterson in these games, look like they don't have too many other answers for the Washington Redskins. Something similar to what the Saints did. When they took away the run game, they didn't have no answers. So shout out to Atlanta. I got to give them what credit is due. Atlanta did well with that one. The Texans, who now find themselves winning, I think, 5-6 straight, who are up on the move now. Shout out to Houston, who put themselves in a good position to come up. Let's start with the Duds, and we're going to finish with the Studs. Bills, good God, Nathan Peterson still just throwing interceptions. They lost 41-9 this past weekend to the Chicago Bears. The Browns, after firing Hugh Jackson, this is what you get. Not too much really going on too much with that. The Browns lose to Kansas City this past weekend. Green Bay back-to-back weeks fumbles has cost Aaron Rodgers and his team. They did lose yesterday to the New England Patriots. To me, Aaron Rodgers' talent is really starting to show that he's getting wasted out there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The Ravens lost 3 straight, going back to the New Orleans Saints. Is John Harbaugh on the hot seat? He might be. And the Redskins losing to the Atlanta Falcons when they said before the game they have facing teams who all have losing records from here on out. You think the Redskins are taking the right steps to go forward, but We'll see next week whoever they play next week. Studs of the weeks, we can already know who my studs going to be. I'm going to start from the bottom on up. San Diego, well, a.k.a. the LA Chargers, they won in Seattle yesterday. They on the roll right now. It's going to be interesting when they face Kansas City coming down the line soon. The Panthers, they won yesterday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Rams, even though they did lose, but the thing I still put them in the stud conversation because they did respond quick against the Saints and they did not go down without a fight. The Patriots, they beat the Green Bay Packers. The Chiefs, they did beat the Browns. And yes, the New Orleans Saints did win on yesterday, so I finished just in time. So let's jump right to New Orleans. The Saints find themselves 7-1 on the road this week. Going to play the Cincinnati Bengals. I tweeted this to the Saints Twitter account. They did like my tweet. I said every Monday feels good when the Saints win on a Sunday. It's to make Monday a little bit easier knowing that your football team did knock off a major football team this past weekend. This was kind of much a revenge game from last year. Like I said, it's kind of the revenge schedule, to be asked me, how the NFL set it up. Remember that the Saints did get their winning streak snapped last year in California against the Rams last year. They gave them their third loss of the year. How sweet it feels to snap their 8-game winning streak at home. And these are two teams that might see each other again later in the playoffs. And I expect the Rams to be prepared in a major way. What a great game it really was between both teams. I really am a fan of the Rams offensively. I really am a fan of Sean McVay, how he really gets his team motivated on the offensive side of the ball. I'm an offensive guy. Everything's just so crisp and so smooth with how the Rams run their system over there. But them Who Dat boys, Joe Horn was in the building. Honorary to Joe Horn with the cell phone tribute last night. I was very impressed with the New Orleans Saints. 45-35 was your final score in the game. It was something to remember for sure. Let's talk about that right quick. Drew Brees in this ball game had 4 touchdowns. One went to Michael Thomas, one went to Benjamin Watson, one went to Alvin Kamara, and the other one went to Traquan Smith. Brees went 25 for 36, 346 for TDs. Alvin Kamara 19 carries, 82 yards, 2 TDs. Michael Thomas had a franchise record of 12 receptions, 211 yards. A lot of that was on Marcus Peters. Remember, Marcus Peters was a stud in Kansas City. At least that's about, and they said at least I think he had 12. At least I did the math last night, but 53% of these yards was on Marcus Peters. Wow. That's a lot. On the other side, Jared Goff, 28 for 40, 391, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Todd Gurley, 13 carries, 68 yards, 1 touchdown. Shout out to New Orleans defense for really holding down that bad man of Todd Gurley. And Brandon Cook, 6 receptions, 114 yards, and 1 touchdown on the day was for him. Now, I told this to my friend, my homeboy. He said he don't need it, but I think it's a necessary. In that last possession, to me, if you ask me, I think that the Rams are so talented at receiver. They don't have, and a lot of these receivers are so, to me, I like these type of receivers because they hybrid receivers. They could do so much for you, and they're so quick, and the system's so crisp on how they run their system. They really don't need a big body guy, but our last play with Brandon Cooks trying to get the first down, and P.J. Williams was there. If they had somebody that was more physical, solid guy that could kind of out-push a defender, that drive continued to go on. That drive don't end right there with Brandon Cooks. Kind of sum up the problem. Remember a few years back when Drew Brees got hurt, I think the Saints was 0-3. At the time, they had to go to Carolina, and they stayed in the ball game the whole time, and it came down to the last possession where Luke McCown threw the ball in the end zone to Brandon Cooks. And pretty much just because Cooks wasn't a bigger guy, actually it was a catchable ball, but he wasn't a bigger receiver. The ball got interception by Josh Norman at the end of the game in the right side of the end zone. To me, that's what I think what could really put them over the top. A true solid. He don't have to be no Michael Thomas. He don't have to be no Demaryius Thomas. He don't have to be Calvin Johnson. He don't have to be Julio Jones. A true solid guy that could catch major possessions at times are clutch. To me, it's something that the Chiefs, that the Los Angeles Rams really can use to really put that offense over the top. To me, I think tight end play a little bit more as well, but that's not really in their system. But to have in clutch moments like that, a big body guy will really come in handy for the Los Angeles Rams. But they did play a hell of a game. I think they struggled to be in the backside of the secondary for sure. Ain't no doubt about that. Ain't no doubt about that at all. But New Orleans, I was a little disappointed that they gave up a big lead, especially at the halftime. I feel like the half should have never ended because they had so much momentum going into halftime. But with the Rams getting the football back, they came back and they answered for some 21 straight unanswered points. So let's talk about this. What this mean for New Orleans? Pretty much what it means now is that the Saints solely owns the NFC for this week. And longevity, what I want to say about this is that now that you put yourself in position to own the NFC, because games like this, because remember I got a series, I said how these playoff games are going to matter. And long story short, these games starting to matter. Now you look at the Saints for the last 3 weeks playing teams that was in the hunt, or either playing the best defense in football, either playing the best defense, either playing some of the best looks, teams that's in the hunt, in the mix right now in football. The Saints now find themselves 3-0 since the bye week against the hardest schedule in football for the remainder of the year. And to me, the biggest two was the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams, two teams from last season that did knock off the Saints. One knocked them off week 1 and at the end of the season, and also one knocked off their winning streak last season as well. So it was, to me, these two really meant the most. And I'm not disrespecting when you look at Cincinnati where they at right now in the AFC, and I'm not going to disrespect Philadelphia, who's coming up, who's still trying to fight right now in the NFC East. But these two teams right now, you find yourself, especially if you can go in to go 8-1 next week against Cincinnati, get ready for Philadelphia, maybe 9-1 going into Thanksgiving. I like their chances, because December is going to really tell it all when you really face the Carolina Panthers twice in about 3 weeks. And then in the middle of that, you got to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so, to me, December is going to tell it all how good New Orleans is. You have to win the games now. Now, I'm not saying they're about to go 15-1. It's not about to happen. It's not about to happen. And if you ask me, and just knowing what I know after playing a hard game like this, now I got to go on the road. I think they might lose. This could be the sleeper game where they could lose a game against Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a bye week. They had time to prepare. I know there won't be no AJ Green for a couple of weeks, but they got time to prepare. The last time Cincinnati was on TV, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. So Cincinnati know how urgent this game is for them as well. So does the Saints, but this could be the time where New Orleans take a game off and don't show up. That or Philadelphia. But I really, truly hope it's neither or. To me, if they can win from now, they can win this week, next week, Atlanta, Dallas, and get prepared for the Monday nighter that's coming up. The Saints put themselves in a good position to be in a good spot for the year. But I like what they're doing right now. To me, one thing I do want to see, I want to see more of a true number two. I think when Ted Ginn do come back, it's going to help out a lot because you're getting play from Traquan Smith, who's starting to play a little bit, who's starting to come on. I think next year is going to be his year more than this year. I think he's just having a hard time grasping some things, but shout out to him. He scored a touchdown yesterday. Also, you could use Ted Ginn back. Michael Thomas, Pro Bowl type of year. Damn. He could really be an all-pro with some of the numbers he's putting up. They're just in a good spot right now, man. Real good spot. It's just, you got to keep winning. You have to keep winning at this moment in time. Got to stay winning. Have to. But on that note, I'm not going to hold y'all too long. This was just a Monday report on Third Down. It's been a good show today. I could talk about the Saints all day, man. Especially, my mother did not care for the Joe Horn celebration. She said that might cost them, but I said, listen, man, you got to really put out a statement sometime. And a statement was made yesterday that we are here, and we here to win a championship now. Y'all want to win, we going to win with y'all. So I'm like, I loved every second of the Joe Horn situation. That was a way to make a statement to the rest of the league.